came out of the washroom and this woman, she just looked at me and she was like, oh, God bless you. I will pray for you and your hand will grow back.
Stump kitchen, gluten-free vegan eats and Stumptastic treats for two.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Sean. I was born in Edmonton.
Who are you?
Yeah, I went and worked at Fort Edmonton. Then I did a music degree.
What instrument?
It was actually composition.
What?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And now I'm on to medicine, and that's a whole new adventure.
I can't wait till you can be my doctor.
Oh, it'll be good times.
What words do you use to describe your arm?
Oh, I would usually talk about my arm or my hand.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I like to pretend like I can operate just as anybody else would.
Absolutely.
Doesn't always work out.
Which
like
we
that.
can. Mostly we can, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't usually use any special words. I mean, I've got my nubbins, but that's the only other.
We're very, very similar, actually.
Yeah.
We both have a thumb. And yeah, all of our little fingers. So I just call these my fingers. You use nubbins. And then I'll use stump or, yeah, left arm, left hand. Often I will use too because it just comes naturally, I guess. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Thank you. Do you ever experience it when somebody will refer to your arm in a way that you don't like residual limb or a word that you've never used that you're just like, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it happens, especially in the healthcare context.
Oh, it does. Oh, of course.
Everybody has medical words for things. So that comes out a lot in the circles that I now inhabit. At the end of the day, it bugs me like it certainly does. To me, there are more important things.
Absolutely.
And while this is important, and I don't want to discount its importance, I've got bigger fish to fry.
Woo! Okay, hello. I think it's done. Okay, now that we've burnt the kitchen, we'll get back into our interview situation.
The disability community is so fraught with all sorts of crazy issues. This one bugs me, but it doesn't bug me enough that it's at the forefront of my mind.
Absolutely, and I think that's different for everyone. Some people it's like,
Absolutely, yeah.
And other people it's like, this is my word. Do you have like a most memorable experience in relation to your limb difference in somebody else? Could be positive, it could be negative, but something that you were like, well, that was interesting.
Well, I think we all have our share of like weird and ridiculous moments. I think one of my favorites was in my first couple of years of university. I didn't meet a lot of people, right? And I met this guy who thought I was inspo porn the best he'd ever seen.
Oh, do tell.
He would greet me every day and talk about it.
What?
And he would tell me that,
Wow.
that I think there was one time he described me as a gift to humanity, which is a bit much, right?
Because you have one hand?
Yeah, and because I'm still breathing air,
Oh my god. Well, I feel honored to be standing beside you then.
I mean, great guy. I don't think he got out much.
Did that make you like uncomfortable, angry, or just kind of like annoyed? Like how did it make you feel?
I think it made me a little bit uncomfortable, but I would much rather him think of me than inspo porn than as somebody who doesn't belong there.
Yeah, absolutely. I had the other day, I was coming out of a washroom at a coffee shop before the pandemic. I came out of the washroom and this woman, she just looked at me and she was like, oh, God bless you. I will pray for you and your hand will grow back. And usually I get kind of like a little weird or a little uncomfortable, I'll just walk away. But I was in such a good mood that day that I did not give a shit. I was just like, thank you so much. And I gave her the biggest hug. And it was just like so anti what I would typically do, but I just felt like, you know what, I'll take your prayers, lady. Whatever. What? Why? How? Have you ever had that? Anyone said that they pray for you?
I don't think I've ever had anybody say that they pray for me in regard to my limb.
Well, I'll
anyway.
tell this lady, she'll pray for you. She can pray for all of us. Do you imagine waking up with two hands and just being like what would you do?
I would be so disappointed.
Yeah. I always feel like people ask once in a while, they're like, don't you wish you had two hands or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, maybe there were times when I was younger, once in a while I might, or in certain frustrating tasks I might wish for that, but not permanently. Most of what I think is like, what do people do with the extra appendages? Like, it would just get in the way. I would probably cut it off by accident just because it'd be like, like I'd be learning, what do you do? I hear that a lot from folks who have one leg or are missing, a whole arm or more. They're just like, what do you do with the extra limbs? Like, what?
If I were to wish myself to have two hands, I might as well wish myself to have four.
Yeah, yeah. It's just as weird. If you could have one thing be different with like how the world kind of perceives limb difference or disability in general, or just like how folks interact on a daily basis, do you have a wish for how that could change? And I know that a lot of people are incredible, and we even have so much to learn with how we are, you know, perceiving other folks and ourselves, and we're by no means perfect, but like if you could change something around people's perceptions, would you, and what would that be?
I think the biggest thing that I would love to see change is for people to come to you and to ask you what you can do, rather than like not even just assuming what you can't do, but assuming that, well, we're gonna have to wait and see.
Yes, yes. Actually, as a med student, and probably throughout your life, and I've experienced this too in different ways, how has navigating that been for you? Because I actually, before I went into education, I thought maybe I would go into nursing, which seemed cool, but I honestly thought to myself, it's gonna be too hard of a fight every day in the programs, I assumed, to allow them to try me to put in IVs in different ways or do different techniques in different ways. And I just didn't want to have to fight with people saying, you can't do this, or blah, blah, blah. Because so many of my friends who have been in professions like that or programs that are very hands-on have been told ahead of time what they can't do in the job, and they're just like, but actually I can. What's that been like for you? Has it been like a battle, or has it been pretty cool?
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough. You know, and of course, you know, in any crop of new people that you meet, there are going to be those who are really great and those who aren't.
Yeah.
And so I have had really great supportive people around me, and that's an important thing to know, you know, and to take stock of and to appreciate, right? There are lots of people who, you know, make assumptions as to what I can and can't do, and you know, there are some certain clinical skills that you're taught to do that would, you know, traditionally require two hands, you know, of course, you know, that doesn't mean anything anyway, right? But
that's so true.
You know, those clinical skills, though they're still part of our curriculum because things take a long time to change, haven't been used in like 50 years.
Oh yeah. And
so, you know, I have a friend who's a physician and an amputee, and you know, she talked about, you know, how some of those techniques weren't a problem for her when she finally got to clinical practice.
Amazing.
You know, and I'm hoping that will be a similar story for me. And
yeah.
You know, I mean, it's tough, but my strategy has to be, you know, to be 2 steps ahead, and you know, have everything figured out by the time they assess me. Just have everything done ahead of time so that there are no questions.
That makes a lot of sense, especially in such a demanding field, but in anywhere. And I think that's so true for so many people at missing limbs or whatever. Just like that extra thought going into, okay, how am I going to approach this? Even just like carrying groceries from the car into the house, just navigating that. Or if I have like, say if I want to go on a car ride and I want to bring my hot chocolate, how are we gonna get out the door? Well, we're gonna balance this. It's really hot on my stump. Okay, maybe we need a different system. Just the forethought that kind of goes into it that maybe other people wouldn't necessarily think about.
No, you have to tell me what you would change.
Oh, what would I change? Honestly, I think like the same, like just that the assumption of lack, or the kind of like sizing you up before, just assuming that there will need to be something adapted or changed, and there very well might be, and that's totally fine, rather than being pleasantly surprised. I have an old neighbor who's my good friend now, and she's a chair user, power chair user, and she uses a speaking aid. And she said when we met on the street, I was the only person that didn't ask her why she was in a wheelchair first, and like assume that she needed all of this help, because as she's, you know, rolling around town, people will always try to help her. They'll touch her without consent. They will speak for her because she uses a speaking aid, and she's just like, I'm a full person, stop, you know? I think about those types of perceptions that people have when they feel like they need to be there to help. And there's lots of good intentions, and that's fine, but like kind of overstepping that boundary and not giving the person the, like taking away their agency, that's something I would want to see change. It's like seeing people as whole people first, and that the way that they do stuff and the way that they interact and communicate and hold a mug is just going to be a little different. It doesn't mean it needs to be, you know, anything other than just their own version of normal.
Stump kitchen, gluten-free, vegan eats, and Stumptastic treats for 2.
You have no idea what I'm going to ask you, do you? Do you need to be clean?
No, you just look so relaxed, and I'm trying to emulate your relaxedness.
Still so hot.
It's very hot.
It's very hot.